Hi, welcome to A Part For You video tutorials. This video tutorial is the second part in a series of videos on how to change your drum and how to change your drum bearings. This video will show you a step-by-step procedure on replacing the bearings using tools that you should have at home. This video was done on a WF series hot point, can be used on a WM series. It can also be used on Ariston, CREDA, Indeset and some other makes. To see all the free videos in this series, please visit our website at apartforyou.co.uk. Right, now turn the drum onto its front and using a piece of wood or the end of a hammer, lock it between one of the recesses and the wheel. This will stop the drum turning. And using a 13mm spanner or socket, undo the nut. It can be very tight because it could be held in with Loctite. You might shear the end off on the odd occasion, but they normally come off quite easily. Then the pulley should lift off. You might have to prise it, but do not prise too heavily because you are prising down onto a plastic drum. Right, now using a piece of wood, rest it against the shaft so you don't damage it. Give it a good tap. This will release the shaft from the bearings. Now the next thing we need to do is take all the screws out of the tub, which hold the two parts of the tub together. This is size 30 torque on this machine, but they can vary on different machines. Remember, we sell all the torques and all the tools that you need at our website. The easiest way to find any parts on the website, by the way, is to put your model number or the description into the search bar at the top, and this will bring up a list of parts that are available for your machine, or if you're needing tools, just type in what tools you need and it will bring up a list. Using a screwdriver, just prise the two parts of the drum apart. Now we'll need to give the inner drum shaft a tap to release it from the outer casing. There we go. Here you can see the spider. It's heavily corroded and needs to be replaced. We'll show you this in the next of the series of videos. First, let's have a look at the four location lugs that hold the two parts of the drum together and line it up. These need to be protected, and the heater as well needs to be protected when knocking the bearings out. So we're putting a few pieces of wood on the floor. 2x3 is fine. As you can see, the drum's a bit mucky. We can clean that up later. But when knocking the bearings out, make sure that you knock them out evenly, not to damage the casing that they sit in. They should be kept nice and smooth, that you can see here. Now make sure that it's sat correctly on the pieces of wood when you're knocking out the inner bearing. This will also knock out the seal. Remember, when knocking the bearings out, to always have the drum supported on the pieces of wood so you don't damage the lugs. Here's the new set of bearings with a spider. We're going to show you how to fit the bearings now. The next in the series of videos will show you how to change the spider. You don't always have to change the bearings and spider together. If the spider is in good condition, you can sometimes get away with just changing the bearings if they sell them separately. Next, we'll start loading the bearings into the drum tub. You'll see that we've already cleaned up everything, so it stops any particles going in. If you feel inside the inner edge of the bearing housing, you'll find that there is a small lip. This is because the water seal is fractionally larger than the bearing, but it also allows you to get the bearing lined up before knocking the bearing in. Using a piece of wood, tap the bearing in until it's flush with the tub. Now once you've got it lined up flush with the tub, we need to use a bar, or you can use certain types of chisel, but being very careful only to hit the outer race of the bearing, which is the outer edge. If you hit any other part of the bearing, you can damage the bearing. So going round evenly to keep the bearing going in straight, just tap it. And once you've got the bearing fully in, you'll feel a different type of resistance with the bearing going in. So you'll be tapping away and it's going down, and then suddenly you'll feel it knocking against something hard. And what it's knocking against is the inner race that you can see here, which I'll put my finger on now. And that edge is where the bearing will knock up to. You can see this from the other side if you look through the hole. And you can also judge it by checking the water hole, which you can see marked here that the bearing's just covering. Here you can see that the seal is in two parts. You've got the inner and outer section. When knocking this seal in, it's a good idea just to knock it in flush with a piece of wood, and then you can tap it almost all the way. And before completing the insertion, the center of the seal needs to be lifted back out. As you can see me doing here, just lifting the seal and then just tapping the seal in with the edge of a blunt chisel. We'll be able to tap the housing of the seal in. Now this one fits nicely between. Just going round, softly tapping it in until the outer edge is flush with the drum. Next we'll load the outer bearing, first cleaning up all the surfaces to make sure they're clean. Then line up the bearing, making sure it's square, and slowly going round the bearing, tapping evenly to keep the bearing square as it goes in. Do this all the way until the bearing is flush with the tub. There we go, nice and flush. It's always advisable to fit a new seal when joining the two halves of a tub, as this will reduce the chance of any leaks. Any joints in the seal should always be at the top of the tub on other machines. The white markers on this seal are markers of the joint and are located at the top of the container, but on new seals you'll probably find that the indicator is more prominent and easy to see. It is also to be located at the top of the container into the recess upright rather than flat, even though the size of the gully around the container is wide enough to accommodate it. It is also prudent to run a bead of silicone sealant around the seal, just to be sure that you don't get a leak after reassembling it. Right, next thing we'll do is refit the tub and the drum all together. So just lowering the back half of the tub onto the drum and installing the pulley wheel and doing up the bolt. Remember, everything to do with the spider is shown in a separate video. So we're just doing up the nut here, 13mm spanner. Do it up until hand tight, and then really it's about quarter to half a turn, again using our piece of wood to lock it to stop the tub moving. The two halves of a tub can only be assembled one way. The location lugs will show you. Around the edge of the container are a series of numbers 1 to 16. These correspond to the screw holes. First thing you need to do is insert 1, 10, 14 and 5 and do them up in their original screw threads. Do not over tighten. Then go round the rest of the tub, inserting the screws and doing them up evenly. Again inserting them to the threads, but do not over tighten. We hope you enjoyed this video. The next in the series is how to replace the spider, and also there is another video on how to reinstall the drum. We hope you enjoyed this video. Remember to shop at a part for you, as that's what keeps us going and able to make these videos for you. Thanks for watching.